Albert and Dorothy Kita had been together since the 70s.
They were inseparable. They did everything together. One could not live without the other. And that's what made them very, very close, is their church life, their religion, and their love for each other.
All of that changed one day in November.
I was getting ready to go to work. I worked in Waikoloa, and a family friend of ours tried to get a hold of me via Facebook. She messaged me and she said, I need you to get a hold of the hospital right away. Call and ask for Auntie. And I said, okay. So I called and they were telling me, did you know that your parents got into a very bad accident? And I said, no, I didn't know that. Like minutes after that, the police department called me and let me know that my father had expired. And I said, what about my mom? And they said, well, we don't know yet. She's apparently on her way to the hospital. When we got there at the hospital, my aunt, who was my mom's best friend, actually, she was there to meet me. We went into the family room and she said, okay, so sit down. And she sat there with me and she said, I have something to tell you. You know that your dad didn't make it. And I said, yes. And she said, and you know that Mom didn't make it either. And I said, no. At that moment in time, I didn't know what to think. I fell to my knees and I grabbed my aunt's hand and I said, please, can you pray for me? So she prayed for us, and the next thing that was the hardest thing for me to do was to go and identify my parents. It was a shock to me. Myself, my daughter, she was really close with her papa and her grandma. It was hard for her also. She had a really hard time.
We had to be strong for her at all times, because she had a hard time with everything, you know. And there was one time when she was going back to work, and I told her, you sure you can go back? She said, yeah, I think I can go back. And she started going over to Waikoloa to go back to work. And then she would talk to her mom every time. So at a certain point on a mile marker, she would call her mom, and then she picked up the phone to call Mom and realized Mom is not home anymore.
I was in shock, I was numb, you know, and as time went on, yes, I was angry, but I was humbled because there was nothing that could ever bring them back again. I have a really good policeman friend, and he had seen me Saturday after the accident when we got back from Mom and Dad's house. And he just got off of work, and he asked me, how you doing? And I said, he said, it was your parents that was in that accident, correct? And I said, yes. He goes, well, what are you gonna do about that? I said, I don't know. He said, well, you need to call somebody.
Lauraann called Levitt, Yamane, and Soldner.
So I made that call that Monday, first thing in the morning, and they have helped me from day one. I've never had to worry about anything. Their staff is fabulous. Mr. Soldner, Nicole, they have been so great. The trust was immediate. You know, I basically felt in my heart that they could do basically my parents right and me right, my family right.
When we talked, Lauraann shared lots of stories about her mom and dad and the people that they were. They were just a huge part of their community, members of their church.
We get a phone call sometimes from Lee or from Nicole. Are you guys okay? Is everything all right? I'm just checking on you. We'd also have FaceTime times when Joe and I would end up FaceTiming them and just to see if we're okay.
This is the first memory I have of interacting with Lauraann, was just all the fond memories that she was able to share with me. And my first thought was, you know, wow, this woman lost both her parents unexpectedly, had to hear about it from an auntie that works at the hospital, and yet she's telling me about all these good memories that she has with her mom and dad. When someone passes away as a result of a tragic collision, they have rights as if they had gone on living. There's value to that. That's part of our job, is to show people that this life mattered and it was valuable, and it counts. But on top of that, Lauraann, as her parents' loved one, also has rights. She lost daily conversations with her mom, talking about her daughter and her other children. She lost the time spent on Christmas Eve and Christmas cooking in the kitchen with them. She doesn't have her mom and dad to call when she's going through something difficult, or to call when she's excited about something, and there's value to that too. And most people, I think, don't think about what happens to the families of loved ones when they pass away. They have a huge loss, especially when it's something tragic, and they have a right to full, fair compensation for that too.
If you or someone in your family need help, call Levitt, Yamane, and Soldner.
Levitt, Yamane, and Soldner basically took care of us. They took care of us, not just everything that had to do with my parents. They took care of us.